insiders seek his advice. He smack talks Jim Rome. The Fox Sports girls want his autograph. He cheap shots Indomitian Sue. He is the most interesting sports host in the world.
I don't always talk sports. Oh wait, I do. Stay thirsty, my friends.
And with that, welcome to another edition of the Tom Greene Show. Week 5 of the NFL is here, and with Week 5 comes another new guest to the Tom Greene Show. We had Wojo on for the playoff MLB edition this week. We have the Goonie Draft himself. His Twitter name is @ColeMartens57. Follow him. Please welcome Cole Martens to the studio. I know it. Glad you could make it this week. Now, last week was a much better week for me in the NFL. I went 12-3 instead of 8-8 like the previous week, which moves my record up to 43-20. Let me write that down quick. 43-20. It's my new record. I'm hoping to hit 200 wins this season. It's possible.
You got a ways to go to identify that one. So.
I'm a little bit behind on losses. I gained 2 games pretty much last week. I think the pace is like 4 or 5 a week. So let's ask to the Goonie Draft himself. How are you doing in the NFL so far?
I'm doing pretty good so far. Both my fantasy leagues, I am right now 3-1. Hoping to go to 4-1 this week. That's overall pretty good this year.
I'm a lowly 1-3.
I had a long season to go.
Only because the teams I'm playing, well, I happen to be in a really good league. The teams that I'm playing have other leagues that they're not doing so well in, like Tyler Jacobs.
See, when I play, I do good in all my leagues, so.
Because he thinks he's a boss over
I
here.
am over here. I don't lose.
Now, do you pick all the games like I do, or do you not?
I picked the games. I got them all down in mind right now. I think I can get them down.
What's your record right now?
I would, this is just a guess, I'd say I've probably lost about 15 of them so far this year.
Wow, he's doing a lot better than I am. And I'm doing, as of right now, I'm doing 1 game better. Well, no, I'm actually doing I am doing 4 games better than last season.
Gotta improve each week? That's good then.
Improving. So, without further ado, this week's games. First up on the list is the Thursday night game between 2 not so great teams, but they're under the radar. This time between the Cleveland Browns and the Buffalo Bills. So, what do we think?
In this one, you got 2 pretty strong defenses, I feel like, coming into the game. You got Cleveland, who is coming out of nowhere after the Trent Richardson trade.
Even I thought they were folding after week 2. It looks like maybe not so much.
But Hoyer, I'm amazed by him right now after seeing him so many years as a backup for the New England Patriots. He just comes here to Cleveland as a third-string quarterback, comes and plays, and he's playing amazing the last 2 weeks and got him 2 wins in a row. So I got the feeling, I'm going to go with a gut feeling on that one, that I feel like Cleveland's going to win this one. I would say a score of 23-14.
23-14. Cleveland is hot. I realize that. Maybe the Browns aren't as bad as I think they are. And the only reason I don't like the Browns is because last year CJ kept picking the Browns, and it's like, dude, you're wasting games. Maybe I might be wrong, but this week I am once again going to go against Cleveland because I think Buffalo is a team that's floating under the radar, and I almost feel bad for them because they're in the AFC East, which really, geographically, should be the AFC North. But it's the AFC East. You've got, of course, his team, the New England Patriots. And why don't you take the cap off? He's trying to get a Bill Belichick or Tom Brady look on his face there, as you see. But I'm going to pick Buffalo because I think Brian Hoyer is okay, but I think reality will settle in. This will be a low-scoring game. I'm going to say 20-17, Buffalo wins. So, that's your Thursday night game. To the Sunday games. Chicago and New Orleans, 1 o'clock. What's your take?
Well, you got New Orleans, who has Drew Brees, who's been playing amazing again this year, and Sproles after last week's huge receiving game after, I think, about 120 yards receiving. Huge fantasy points for me as well in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Chicago, who was coming off a poor effort in the first half against the Lions, but came back in the second half and played a great job from Jay Cutler. But in this one, I will have to go New Orleans, and I would say around probably a score of 31-21.
Okay. And this game, I think it comes down to this. Jay Cutler is my hero, said no one, ever. It's true. I know Mark Trestman is a decent head coach, but I think reality will settle into Chicago after this game, because Drew Brees is a surgeon when he throws.
Oh, yes.
And he said that's the reason why he's my fantasy franchise quarterback. I will pick New Orleans, and I will pick them to win actually kind of handily, 35-21. Even though it's at Soldier Field, I still think New Orleans, New Orleans will come up with a big victory. Which New England brings me up to my next game between Cincinnati and New England. This is Cole's team.
In this one, you gotta admire Tom Brady so far this year. He's been doing a great job of a receiving core
this guy's trying to look like Tom Brady, so, he admires him already.
No, he's the guy to me. But Tom, he has been doing a great job this year. All 3 rookies, I believe, in his wide receivers this year, and a great defense. But one thing that's concerning me about New England this year is the loss of Vince Wilfork, and he is now out for the season for the Patriots.
He weighs about as much as you and I combined.
Oh yeah, maybe more possibly. But then you think about Cincinnati as well. As last week, we've seen a huge struggle against the Cleveland Browns, is only getting 6 points, and their defense not doing so well against Cleveland as well. And in this one, I'm going to have to get the edge of the Patriots. I'm saying about a 35-14 win for the Patriots.
35-14? Cincinnati, they surprised me against Cleveland. I thought Cincinnati would take that game low scoring, but that turned out to be something different. I do think Cincinnati is also falling back to earth just like Chicago is. I picked New England to win this game. Is Amendola back this week?
Oh, he might be. They're still debating if he
Gronk is going to be back.
They said next week, most likely.
Next week. But even without Gronk and Amendola and even Wilfork, I think Cincinnati is falling back to earth. New England wins this game 28-10. Now, this is the game of the week, I think. Green Bay against Detroit.
This one, I had to think about this one for a little bit here because you got an amazing Detroit offense with Matthew Stafford doing great so far this year. Kevin Johnson being Megatron like always. And now, the new star for the Lions, Reggie Bush, after probably I'd say one of his best games in his NFL career this year.
This is a big surprise, this Lions team so far this year, that's for sure.
And that's the great thing about them this year as well, is that they have a dual threat in passing and running this year. But their defense still a little struggles on that one, kind of light, and they allow a lot of points each game. But you also got to say the same for the Green Bay Packers, as they have struggled also this year on defense. But you also have Aaron Rodgers as well on the other side of the ball, and he is a huge threat to the Lions.
The discount double check.
But I got to give this one to the Lions in this game. It's going to be very high scoring. I'm going to say 35-31 Lions. And they're going to end that 23-game losing streak in Lambeau.
I'm quite surprised by his pick. Even though I am wearing Lions garb, you've seen me pick against them once. And surprisingly, you're going to see me pick against them again. Why? Is because of the 28-game winning streak, or the losing streak 23-game losing streak in Green Bay. I have never seen them win a game in Green Bay, And unfortunately, it's going to have to be until next year because I do think the Lambeau crowd is just a little too much. I know the Limburger cheese, the Lions are going to smell just a little bit, but it's going to be a close game. And I hope I'm wrong on this pick. But I'm going to pick Green Bay because I just have a feeling they're going to win this game. 42-38, that score.
You also got to remember this year, Detroit broke another streak this year, beating Washington after losing there 22 times in a row.
You're right. But I just have that feeling.
And I got to go with the gut.
I hope I'm wrong, but I'm just going with my gut here. Anyway, Tennessee against Kansas City, two surprise teams.
Kansas City, looking after a 2-14 year last year, already had a 4-0 start, which is amazing to me. If Alex Smith, he has been doing a great job for that team, and just the entire offense overall has been doing great. But that defense, that has been the biggest surprise to me. They were great the past years, but this year they are outstanding as they've been stopping every team they played this year. Then you have Tennessee, who's been also a huge surprise this year to me with a 3-1 start. But the issue with them is right now is they just lost their starting quarterback Jay Cutler to 4 to 6 weeks.
You mean Jake Locker?
Jake Locker, sorry, yeah, thank you.
Jay
Cutler, he can get hurt too. But anyways, Jake Locker, he's been out for 4 to 6 weeks, and I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is filling in for him, if I'm correct on that one.
I think so.
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick, which at Buffalo, he was not the best. So it'd be interesting to see what he does, but I see Kansas City just blowing Tennessee out in this one. I'm going to say 28-10.
28-10. People haven't been giving me credit that Tennessee, I think, is for real. Except Locker gets hurt. And sadly, reality hits the Music City. They will sing the blues. Cue the laughing. They will sing the blues. Kansas City wins this one in a close one, low-scoring 21-17. Andy Reid gets another healthy potato bowl. Kansas City? I thought this said KFC. Indianapolis and Seattle next game.
That will be a really good game this year. That's awesome. That Lions-Green Bay game is the game like this will be. You get two sophomore quarterbacks coming to this one. Russell Wilson, who's not been having the best year this year, but still his team is 4-0 heading into this one. And then you have Andrew Luck, who's been outstanding this year to me. And the 3-1 Colts. And so far, what I've seen, the Colts defense has looked amazing, and Seattle's defense is just outstanding this year. And I'm expecting a really low-scoring game in this one. But I feel like I'm going to give this one to Seattle in a, I'd say, 14-10 game.
14-10. I picked Houston to beat Seattle last week, and I was pretty damn close.
I think you should have had that one, actually. But.
And people were thinking, what is this guy thinking? But that almost happened. And this week I'm gonna pick against them again. And this time I actually do think it's gonna happen. A little higher scoring than Cole thinks. I'm thinking also like the last game, 21-17. But I do think the Colts win because, and only because, Seattle is playing on the road in a 1 o'clock game. If they're playing at home, or if this is a late game, Seattle wins. But this is a 1 o'clock game. Although Pete Carroll has them designed ready to go for a 1 o'clock, I do think Indianapolis takes advantage and they win this game. Now this week's, arguably maybe not this week's Toilet Bowl, but close to it, St. Louis against Jacksonville.
Well, you got Jacksonville, who I don't know what they're doing this year. They have been just completely horrible. Their defense has been just getting lit up every week. I think they set the franchise record for most points in the first 4 weeks last week. But as of right now, they just cannot find anything running or passing and are struggling on offense and defense. Then you have a St. Louis team who is as well struggling on the defensive side. Sam Bradford, I don't know what he's been up to, but he's not been doing that hot. Not like everybody's predicted he would be doing at this time of the year. But as of right now, I gotta say St. Louis is gonna win this one. I'm gonna say 21-10.
I even have it worse than that. St. Louis is gonna win, and I think we all know why St. Louis is gonna win. Jacksonville flat out is terrible.
Yeah,
Jacksonville is how I thought the Browns were gonna be this year. Jacksonville is terrible. St. Louis will win this game 28-3. and Denard Robinson will kick the field goal. That's how bad Jacksonville is. Nothing against Denard, but that's how bad Jacksonville is. They don't even have a kicker. They don't even have anything. I mean, Scobie's all right, but they don't have anything. Anyway, enough on Jacksonville. My God. Miami against Baltimore.
Oh, you got a great Baltimore defense coming in this game that have been playing pretty good so far this year. Had a couple struggles at points, but did a great job filling in for a lot of their defensive replacements they had to take care of this year. And Joe Flacco, which after getting that high paycheck that he got, is not playing up to what I thought he would be at this time. But he's also playing pretty well too. And I believe Ray Rice will be coming back this week to run the ball for the Ravens. But then you have Miami, who's really surprised me this year with a 3-1 start after suffering their big loss to New Orleans on Monday night. And Ryan Tannehill, I don't know where he came from, but he is doing amazing this year.
Yeah.
But and the defense as well is putting up their game. But at the same time, I feel like the Miami ain't gonna have enough offensive strength to take care of Baltimore. And I think Baltimore's gonna win this one 24-14.
I have a feeling Miami is going to get revenge, and they're going to get revenge on Baltimore. Although I do think they were playing like a 2-1 team, rather much less than a 3-0 team. I do think they get the win in this one, 17-14, because I think the loss of Jacoby Jones is hurting Baltimore more than they think, although they're not doing that bad. I just have a feeling they're going to lose this one. Miami's going to win and get revenge. Anyway, this, if St. Louis and Jacksonville is not the toilet bowl, this is Giants, more like midgets, against Philadelphia.
Truly, I think both teams are actually pretty good teams coming in this year. New York Giants, Eli Manning might be throwing a lot of interceptions this year and having a lot of mistakes. But if you look at receiving-wise, Victor Cruz is right now the best wide receiver in the league. And
Do the salsa dancing.
And that defense this year is playing pretty horrible, but if they can make it up on offense, they might be do okay. But Philadelphia, they've been doing pretty well as well. They've been in a lot of close games this year, I believe, and they have been struggling. Vic, I thought, has been doing pretty well so far. He's been doing what I thought was better than the last previous years. And McCoy, he's having a little off sequence last week, and I think he'll be coming back on this week. And I think that hurry-up offense is going to help my Philadelphia beat the Giants, and I think Philadelphia is going to win in a high-scoring game here, 35-31.
I have the same score except the Giants are winning. And I just have a feeling that the Giants will be midgets no more. The reason why Philadelphia is struggling, although they're doing okay, is in college you can play the University of my arm and the University of my leg. In the NFL you can't. And that's hurting. And it's hurting badly. Sorry, Eagles. But the only thing that's good about your team right now is the cheesesteaks. And maybe the offense. Giants win 35-31. Arizona against Carolina. We're down to the late games.
Carolina, I think, has been playing all right this season. Cam Newton doing a lot better than I thought he's been doing the last couple seasons. And then you have an Arizona team who has, I believe, Carson Palmer is their starting quarterback now.
Yes.
He's improved the team a lot, and their defense played a great job against Tampa Bay last week. Even though Tampa Bay is a little bit of a struggle team this year, Arizona's defense looked great. And I think in this one, I will have to take Arizona in this one. I'm going to say a score of 21-17.
I picked this one 27-17. Our scores are pretty close, but then again, all my scores have been off by a lot. I think Arizona wins this game because of Rashard Mendenhall, Carson Palmer, and the Arizona defense, who's surprisingly been under the radar really good. But I am not a big fan of Cam Newton. I'm just not.
He has his times, I feel like, but at most points he can struggle a lot.
Mm-hmm. Arizona wins because of the mighty hand of Bruce Arians, 27-17. Dallas against Denver.
Well, I got two names for Denver that just blow my mind completely. Peyton Manning and Wes Walker.
Yes.
Those two this year have just been outstanding. Peyton Manning, I don't know where he decided to show up real big this year. As I believe 16 touchdowns in the first 4 weeks of the season. That is just outstanding for a quarterback. I believe they said as of right now he's projected to have 66 touchdowns at the end of the season. He'll shatter, as right now, the touchdown record. And just the receiving core for Denver has been amazing this year, and their defense has been outstanding as well. And Dallas right now having a huge struggle right now, as they've been in a lot of close games this year as well, but struggle to win the games late. As Tony Romo struggling, throwing in quite a few interceptions late in games, and fumbles as well from Murray. Denver's defense as well, not that great at all, which is what scares me for this game. And I believe Denver's going to have another huge win here. I'm going to say 42-14.
I'm going to go 35-7. Denver. Why? Cowboys suck. Let's all face it. Two words that make the Cowboys a bad team. Tony Romo. Denver wins 35-7. Romo's terrible. The Sunday night game, or what was the Sunday night game, San Francisco against Houston.
Right now, Houston coming off a very sad loss, like we mentioned at the beginning here, against a tough Seattle team, which I think they had it locked until Schmidt screwed up through the interception, which went back for a touchdown and gave away the win. And Houston fans are killing him right now for that. And team actually had a meeting, I guess, earlier this week about what they need to do to improve. Then you have a San Francisco team who has also been struggling a little bit this year, as Kaepernick trying to get a groove on it. He had a little better last week because he played St. Louis, but St. Louis is not a great team like we are also talking about earlier, struggling team. And the San Francisco defense is the thing that surprised me so far this year, is they have not been playing up to what they needed to as well.
Right.
So in this game, I'm going to go Houston in a very close game. I'm going to say 35-31 Houston.
My take on this, I think we all know the last 2 years. If you're facing an NFC West team on the road, you're screwed. Let's face it. You're screwed. Except if you're St. Louis. Then you might get a win. But if you're facing an NFC West team on the road, you're screwed. Sorry, Houston. Another sad loss for you. San Francisco wins this game 28-27. Now, the real Sunday night game, because of the MLB scheduling, which, in my opinion, they should have moved the Tigers game up to 1:05 California time so they could put this at its normal slot. Oakland against San Diego.
We have San Diego also coming off some struggling losses this year and close ones, as I believe they won last week. If I'm correct, I can't remember who they played.
They won the last 2 weeks.
Last 2 weeks? Okay, yeah. They've been playing. Philip Rivers has been playing amazing this year. I think this is one of his best seasons as well, playing as a quarterback. And then you had Danny Wood, who has been coming out of nowhere these last 2 weeks as a receiving running back. So that's two players I'd say keep an eye on this week against Oakland. And San Diego defense as well looking pretty good. Then you have the Oakland, who has Terrell Pryor, I believe, coming back this week. Going to get rid of Matt Flynn again, who's been struggling to get a starting job for some reason all this year and last year.
He's watched a lot of good football games, let's face it.
Then Oakland, as of right now, the fans are getting pretty happy with this team as they're starting to improve a little bit more each year. But I still feel like they do not have enough to handle San Diego. I'm going to go San Diego a 28-14 win.
I'm going to go 28-17, but also San Diego. Because Oakland is still not that great of a team. They're getting better, but they're still not that great. And Al Davis still looks like Frankenstein. So until he can't look like Frankenstein anymore, which he's dead. Sorry, Oakland fans, but San Diego's going to win this game. 28-17. The Chargers will not fall in the second half like they have a couple times this year. They will win this game. So, brings us up to the Monday night game, which is Atlanta against the Jets.
So far this year, the Jets, the first game week of this year, I thought they were going to be a real team. I thought Geno Smith was going to mean something, but as we've seen for the last couple of weeks, he has struggled. I believe he's almost thrown 2 interceptions each game since those last 3 weeks, as he's been struggling at the quarterback position. But Powell, for the running back for the Jets, he's been doing a pretty good job as he's been moving that offense along, as he's averaged over, I believe, 100 yards total each in the last 2 weeks. But then you have Atlanta team, who's, I think, as well have been struggling, as they are now, I believe, like 1-3,
Yeah.
believe, right now, which is surprising for a team that was in the NFC Championship game last year. Matt Ryan, who I still think is a huge weapon in that team. You have Julio Jones and White, who is still recovering from his injury, which I believe, this is my bold pick right here, I think he's going to have over 100 yards receiving in this game. I think he's going to break out this game. The Atlanta defense, I think, is going to pull strong, and I think Atlanta's going to win this one easily, 31-10.
31-10. I think Atlanta's going to win this game because basically what Cole said in Tom Greene terms, the Jets are playing like the Jets. Let's face it.
Yeah, they're playing the same.
Atlanta's going to win this game. I think they're mad because they lost the Patriots the way they did. 21-10 they win. Atlanta wins. Get their record up to 2-3. And basically our lesson for this week is, if you're a Patriots fan, you miss Woodhead and Welker.
Yeah, yes we do.
Tom Brady be like, oh, I miss my former wide receivers. Oh.
He'll get Amadella and Gronkowski back though soon, so don't worry. I think
But I miss
he'll be
Welker.
happy. He'll be happy
But I
next
miss
week.
Woodhead. Let's face it, Cole, you do miss Woodhead and Welker.
Woodhead, so and so. Welker, yeah, I do, but I feel like they're gonna do fine this without them. I think they have a great. They just signed a receiver today, I believe. Austin Collie. They just signed.
Oh, that's a good
That'll
pickup.
be a good pickup for them. I believe they'll be doing fine. I think next week they're going to show who they really are on offense. Once all that offense comes right back.
They'll still play like the Patriots,
Yeah,
let's face it. But anyway, good to have you on the show, Cole.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see. Hopefully he'll be back on another show. Enjoy week 5.